It's time for more Barbarian subclasses. Welcome to the Attic Dungeon. My name is Sam, and whether you want to rage like a rabid dog or rage like an angry bear, I'm here to help you with everything. So this is of course usually the bit where I thank you all for watching my show. I'm still doing that, but I am adding a very important announcement. The Attic Dungeon, together with some very trusted friends, is organizing Belgium's first TTRPG festival. Welcome to Day of Dungeons. Yes, an entire day. We're going to start with one day that is going to focus on Dungeons and Dragons. What can you do here? Well, the obvious thing that we've already revealed, you will be able to play sessions. We will be organizing one-shots. We will have an entire slew of dungeon masters. And if you're new, you can play at level 1. Experienced players can play at level 6. And if you want to go all in, you can play at a wonderful level 15 at our little festival in Vilvoorde in Belgium. It will be on the 25th of March. Obviously, sessions will not be all that we're going to offer. We're going to offer workshops as well, a few panels. There's going to be a live play sessions with some of the upper half of Belgium's famous podcasts. It's going to be an all-in day filled with Dungeons and Dragons stuff. Of course, there will be shopkeepers offering wonderful goodies as well. We'll have food, we'll have drinks. You get the festival idea, right? So mark down the 25th of March 2023 in your calendar for Day of Dungeons. And then now we'll move on to the Barbarian order of the day. So, more Barbarian subclass stuff today. Quick reminder, when we're looking at Barbarian subclasses, you get abilities at 4 different levels. You gain your core abilities usually at level 3, then 6 is kind of a utility ability, 10 is flavor/utility, and 14 your capstone usually makes you bring more pain to the table. That's the basic gist. We're doing 3 more today, and then we'll have 2 subclasses left for the final video. We're going to start with the path of the Berserker, which is that quintessential barbarian. It's the guy with the giant axe that is foaming at the mouth, being angry at the entire world and cleaving everything in two. It's a wonderful, entertaining bit to play. It's the Barbarian. It is Grog from Critical Role. It is half the dwarves in half of the fantasy settings. I mean, they're angry and they want to kill stuff, and they're pretty good at it, but it comes at a hefty cost. What do they gain? At level 3 you gain Frenzy, and Frenzy is very straightforward. When you go into a rage, you can declare that this rage is going to be a frenzy. If you do, for the duration of the rage, you can use your bonus action to make an extra weapon attack, which is really good. Big downside here is that at the end of this rage, you'll gain 1 level of exhaustion. Now, 1 level, as you know, is doable. That means disadvantage on ability checks, which is, of course, initiative and all of your skill rolls. So it's doable, but it's still a hefty price. 2 levels of exhaustion, if you would use this ability twice, halves your speed, and it only gets worse from there on. So while this is a very powerful ability, gaining an extra attack at level 3 with a two-hander possibly at the cost of a bonus action, with all the benefits that your attacks would have, like ability damage, potential feats, enhancing is a fighting style maybe that you picked up. So the damage potential is pretty big, but the downside is pretty big as well. And early on in the game, you really don't have any other way to remove exhaustion other than long resting. So that kind of makes this a once per day ability. And that is kind of sad, because even in the current way of playing, obviously for one-shots this is great. I mean, a one-shot is usually 1 long rest period, so during each one-shot session, you'll be able to pop out the frenzy and chop stuff in two. But in an actual campaign where a day might have multiple encounters, should have multiple encounters, and your resources are a bit more sparse, exhaustion is not something that you want to ramp up. At higher levels though, if I'm not mistaken, the clerics, for example, get greater restoration, which can also remove levels of exhaustion. I think there's a potion that can remove levels of exhaustion. You get the idea. High levels, there are ways around the exhaustion at the cost of your teammates' resources, probably. So it's a strong ability, but with an enormous downside. And to be perfectly honest, what I dislike even more about this is that when you declare, the turn that you start raging, you use your bonus action to rage, and you cannot perform your bonus attack because you've used your bonus action to rage. So that leaves the turns after that you started rage. And if you can start raging pre-combat, this is fine, but usually Barbarian turn 1 is I start to rage and I walk in. That means you've already wasted a turn where you will not be attacking an extra time, but you're still in the frenzy. You've declared the frenzy. And since combat lasts, 4-5 turns, if it's a really long combat, you'll get 5 attacks out of this in one fight per long rest. That's not bad. It's very centered. I hope that in 1D&D they kind of rework this. I like the idea, but the penalty is a bit too harsh. At level 6 you get Mindless Rage, because that is what you are doing. You're raging without any care or consideration for yourself, and this gives you immunity to Frightened and Charmed. And that's actually not bad, because Barbarians are the easy target for conditions like this. These are usually wisdom saves. Your wisdom save is zilch, nada, nothing. So having immunity to frequent conditions while raging is actually not bad. It's not a wow ability, but it gives you some good immunities that your class is entirely weak to. So that's good. Level 10 is where it gets weird. You have an intimidating presence. That means you can use your action to intimidate someone, you can frighten them, and afterwards you can use your action to continue to frighten them. So in combat this is a bit clumsy, because technically speaking that would mean you are not using your attacks, but you're just frightening something, and that is weird. What's even weirder is, well, not that it requires a save, so the target that you're trying to intimidate gets a wisdom save, but the wisdom save is based off your charisma modifier. What the actual bejeebus? A barbarian already needs all his ability points for strength, dex, and constitution probably. Chances that you're going to have a 14 in charisma are very slim indeed. So this is a weird... I get the ability, you want to roar at someone and make him scared, but mechanically it's very clunky and maybe just used in social situations to gain entries somewhere where you would not be allowed to go in. You can just go out of the way or I'm gonna smack you. And if they fail the wisdom save versus your low charisma, you will be allowed to enter wherever you want to. If the creature succeeds on the saving throw, you can't intimidate them for another full 24 hours. So, not the best ability. I get the flavor, but it's really badly done, to be honest. And then at level 14, actually a good capstone. If you take damage from a creature within 5 feet from you, you can use your reaction to just smack it in the face with a normal attack, which is pretty good actually, because you don't need stuff like, Sentinel to easily trigger retaliation attacks. You don't need to wait for an attack of opportunity. You can just, oh, you're hitting me, smack a doozle in the face. It's one attack, but it's an extra attack every turn, which is kind of what Berserker does. At level 14, you can squeeze out 2 extra attacks on top of all the other attacks that you're doing. So how does the Berserker rank up against other Barbarian subclasses? Okay-ish. The core mechanic is used in small bursts. That's what it is. The frenzy. If you have a good healing support that can remove levels of exhaustion, you'll get more mileage out of it, but it's an okay subclass. It's a quintessential barbarian. It doesn't weaken the class as a whole, but it's not strong enough to make me want to put it up there with the best barbarian subclasses. But it's okay, it's fun to play. I kind of compare it in my head to the champion for the fighters. It's very straightforward. It works, but it's not the best. And that brings us to the Storm Herald. And the Storm Herald is another subclass that I really want to like. Thematically, it's really cool. Your barbarian has learned to channel some elemental power, which is nice because barbarians are a primal class when it comes to more magic-y stuff. But the numbers are so bad in the subclass that I really wonder if it would have a decent impact. I think you're better off gaining an exhaustion level and getting 4 extra attacks in a certain combat and using some of these abilities, let's be honest there. But we're going to go through them. So how does the Storm Herald work? At level 13, you will gain an elemental aura 10 feet from you, so that's not too small, to be honest. And you can choose 3 elementally linked places: desert, sea, or tundra. So fire, lightning, or ice. At level 3, the aura gains an ability, of course. At level 6, you gain resistance to whatever damage type your aura is dealing, plus a minor side effect. At level 10, your party gains resistance as long as they're in the aura. And at level 14, you gain an extra cool ability. Well, cool. It's a cool ability, but it's not capstone worthy, to be honest, related to your element. Can you change your element? Yes, every time you level up. And I think that's stupid. It should be at the end of every long rest, like for a lot of spellcasters. The abilities are in no way so overpowered that swapping them out at the end of a long rest would cause problems. If anything, it would make the class more relevant, because those very specific damage resistances that you can pick up could actually be used at the right moment instead of having to wait for a level up. Another problem that I have with the subclass is that the level 3 ability, so you turn on your aura and there's a certain effect that activates, but to use the effect again, to keep it going, you have to spend your bonus action each turn. So it's a paladin aura, but you have to push a button every turn to make it do stuff, which means that you cannot use your bonus action for anything else. So no dual wielding, Polar Master is going to be off the table, you know, stuff like that, and that is a bit horrible design, to be honest. These effects are weak enough that they should just be turned on and let them go. Let's go over the effects. So at level 3, if you pick Desert, your aura does 2 damage to every creature in it when you activate it. So it includes your own party members. It's fire damage, of course, and the damage scales, because of course 2 damage at level 3 is, you know, it's okay, because you can hit multiple creatures, they don't get a save, but it scales horribly to 3 damage at level 5, 4 at 10, 5 at 15, and a whooping 6 fire damage at level 20. Now, I know a lot of Lords of Hell that are immune to fire, so they won't care, but even a Tarask is going to like, oh no, 6 damage that I cannot prevent. Oh dearie me. It scales really bad, okay? It's a horrible scaling mechanic. The C one, instead of targeting a lot of different enemies, you target one enemy. They need to do a dexterity save, and if they fail, they take 1, 2, 3, or 4 d6s worth of lightning damage, depending on where you are in the leveling scale. Okay, I guess 2d10 damage potentially isn't horrible, since it's infinite. I guess it gives you some ranged attack as well. I'm a 10 feet range, but hey, it's something. I'm mad about it, you know. Wizards are tossing out 8d6 fireballs at level 5, and here you are at level 10 doing 2d6 damage, maybe. I know fireball is a limited resource, but let's be honest, that'll work. It's not going to compare to this damage. And the Tundra one allows you to give creatures of your choice 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6, same level range as the desert one, temporary hit points, which again is pretty underwhelming, because we're looking at a bard. What's it? The glamour bard can use his bonus action to give a really big number of temporary hit points to a lot of people, in comparison to this. Yes, bardic inspiration is a limited resource, but it resets on short rest, so does rage. It's going to be more impactful. Also, the bard would only have to use his bonus action once to blanket almost the entire party in a nice chunk of temporary hit points, whereas this barbarian has to use it every turn for this minuscule bump in survivability. So that's what I mean. Cool abilities. I like the elemental RID, but the numbers are underwhelming. At level 6, as I said, you gain resistance to whatever element you're currently channeling, and you get a silly flavor ability as well. Desert can put something on fire. Some people are going to love that, of course. Sea gets a swimming speed and can breathe underwater. Without a doubt, the most useful one of the lot. And Tundra can freeze water. Huzzah. Also, Desert and Tundra won't suffer extreme cold or extreme heat consequences. So, yay, but very situational. At level 10, your resistance of the aura emanates to party members if they're in the aura. That still means that your party members are taking potentially the fire damage while having resistance to fire. It's a weird mechanic. And level 14 you get an extra ability tied to your aura, again almost always related to attacking. The desert one, if something hits you with an attack, you can make them make a dexterity save with your reaction. If they fail the dex save, they get damage equal to half your barbarian level. So at level 14 that means reaction, if they fail the dex save, they take 7 fire damage. Whoopee. 7. Warlocks have a level 1 spell called Hellish Rebuke, where if you hit them and they fail the dex save, they deal 2d10 at level 1. This is a level 14 capstone ability, which is way too low. Way too low. The C one, you can, if you hit something, if you hit something, you can use your reaction to force them to make a strength check, and if they fail the check, they get knocked prone as if struck by a wave. Using your reaction to knock something prone is weird. It takes away your attack of opportunity, or other if you have Sentinel, forget about it. It's weird. Strength saves are okay. There's a lot of creatures that don't have good strength saves, but still at level 14 you gain the ability to knock someone prone. Whoop-de-day. And the Tundra one is the one I like best here, actually, is that you can point at a creature within the aura that you can see. If they fail a strength save, they get frozen solid into place and their speed becomes 0. So that's actually pretty okay. Freezing a creature in place allows for maneuvering. Still not a level 14 capstone ability, maybe, but because you can use it every turn again and again and again and again, that is actually pretty okay. So that is the Storm Herald. How does it measure up? Well, the good news is each element has an ability that's not terrible. The bad news is the numbers are terrible. The impact of these abilities is going to be next to nothing. Is it the worst subclass? Possibly not, but it's certainly not good. An argument could be made probably that the Berserker is worse or better depending on how many encounters you get per day. I'm so sad that the Barbarian has a large amount of subclasses that made me go, eh. There's the Battle Rager, the Berserker, the Storm Herald, all subclasses that inherently are cool, but mechanically just suck. Thankfully, there is one subclass for today that is not too bad, that is even amazing. It is probably maybe still the most played subclass for the Barbarians, and that is the Path of the Totem Warrior, where the Berserker should be the quintessential Barbarian. I think the Path of the Totem Warrior is the quintessential Barbarian for 5e, because they have some amazing choices, one of them a bit selfish but very popular. So the idea is very simple. You channel animal spirits, or you have some connection to animalism, and you gain power from animal totems. It's cool because whereas for the Storm Herald you have to choose one element and you gain all the abilities related to that one element, here each time you get a selection of 5 beasts that you can pick from, but you don't always have to pick the same beast. So if I pick Bear Totem at level 1 for the ability, at level 3 that is, and I gain the level 6 ability, I can take another animal. I can have level 3 bear, but level 6 eagle, level 10 elk, and level 14 wolf, because that's what I like. I don't have to go bear, 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 bear. Of course, they can't change like the elemental one does, but still it gives you a lot more flexibility already. You gain some cool stuff at level 3 as well. You gain Beast Sense and Speak with animals as rituals though. So you can commune with nature. You also get commune with nature later on. But you get these spells. You know, Speak with Animals is never bad to get. And it's cool that you get it. These are flavor spells more than anything else. But they do have their uses. So it's nice because you get this on top of your level 3 Totem Spirit. So as I said, at level 3 you'll grab a Totem Spirit. And it activates when you rage, period. You don't have to do anything extra. You don't have to use a bonus action to sustain it. You don't get exhaustion levels from doing it. No, it just activates and it's there. Some of them are bad choices, period. There's 5 to pick from and like 2 or 3. I think 3 are good. 2 are good, 1 is excellent, and the other 2 are like, why would you pick this? Let's start with the most famous option. Most famous option is going to be the bear totem, and that's a very straightforward one. Barbarians already have resistance to all physical damage while raging. The bear adds resistance to every damage type except psychic. Your mind is still very fragile, but this is amazing. This effectively doubles your hit points in 90% of the situation. This is what makes the Barbarian tank build extremely durable. Add Sentinel, Polearm Mastery, one of the two to this, and you have a beast of a tank that has some form of battlefield control as well. Next one is Eagle. Eagle allows you to use the dash action as a bonus action, and opportunity attacks have a disadvantage against you. It's a bit more niche, I think, because it involves you doing a very active playstyle. It combines well with a later ability that you can pick up though, but it's not bad. You know, it's one of the okay ones. It gives you a lot of mobility and a reason to not care about opportunity attacks, because playing a melee character in D&D 5e is very often you run up to one guy, you whack it until it's dead, and then you run to the next guy, because if you run away too soon, you get an attack of opportunity, and that's not fun. Here, at the very least, you have the option of running away and having a very decent chance that you won't be attacked or won't be hit by the attack of opportunity, allowing you to move around the battlefield and help allies. So it's not as powerful as the bear, but it's a good one. The elk is a bit weaker in my head. So basically, as long as you don't wear heavy armor, you get 15 feet of movement extra, I guess. But this doesn't measure up to resistance to all damage against psychic. There's a clear difference there that cannot be overcome by whatever this elk thing has to offer. Same for the tiger. While raging, you can jump higher and further. Again, resistance to all damage, or not caring about opportunity attacks and being able to dash frequently. Last one, thank God, is again pretty good depending on your party composition. While you're raging, everyone has advantage on melee attack rolls to any creature that is within 5 feet of you. So you're standing here, you got two guys in front of you that you want to kill. All the other melee in your party will have advantage on those guys, which is not bad at all. You won't get advantage because that's what you have reckless attack for, otherwise that ability would become useless and we can't have that. But if you have a melee heavy party, this is going to work in your favor. Rogue will land more sneak attacks because of the advantage. The fighter will land more attacks. Bladesinger, Wizard, Valor Bard that goes melee, Paladin. You know, if you have a few melee characters in your party, this is actually an option for you, because more melee characters usually means more buffy tankiness in the party as well, so you don't necessarily need that resistance to all damage types except psychic. So this then certainly is an option. For me, there's only 3 real options here: bear, wolf, and eagle, for a very specific type of playstyle. The other 2 are garbage. The best one and most picked one is bear. Wolf certainly is good, and eagle is fun. At level 6, again, you pick one of these 5 beasts, and it gives you a more utility-based ability. From increasing your carrying capacity for the bear, you get great eyesight from the eagle, faster traveling speed for the elk, a few extra proficiencies from the tiger. That's an often picked one because barbarians don't have an amazing amount of skills, though they get more now thanks to Tasha. And wolf gives you better tracking speed. Yes, so they're toolkit abilities, but they're decent. They are not horrible. Level 10 gives you commune with nature. The spell, I forgot the level of the spell. It's a 5th level spell actually. You can only do this as a ritual again, but hey, you get a 5th level spell that you can cast an infinite number of times. Of course, it's a very specific spell where you ask for information, but it's again a good toolkit ability. And then at level 14, again, you pick one of the 5 animals and you gain a certain benefit. I have to really peek for these because I don't know them by heart. Yes, bear, complete your tank set. Anything within 5 feet of you that's hostile towards you has disadvantage when it attacks anything else than you. So now you're actively drawing aggro. Combined with your damage resistance from your rage, that makes you a quite formidable tank if you add like a feat or 2 for more control. Eagle gives you flying speed while moving, but it stops at the end of your movement, so it's more like leaping. It's not like wee, and then if you stop here, you fall down. But it's great to go like, hups, I'm here now, and hups, I'm here now. So this is really great mobility actually for the Barbarian. Elk lets you bull rush something to the ground. You can run over something, use your bonus action to deal damage and push them over. The Tiger, I kind of like the Tiger one. It fits with the Eagle playstyle. If you run into a straight line of 20 feet before whacking something, you can use your bonus action to whack it an additional time. So there's an option here for running, whacking, running, whacking. That's okay. And the Wolf allows you to knock something prone when you hit it with a melee attack. It's the less amazing ability of the 5. But Totem Warrior in general is a very good Barbarian subclass, one of the better ones out there. I just kindly invite you to not always take Bear Totem and actually at level 3 that is, and actually use the other ones as well. Make up a nice party and go for the Wolf one and have advantage all day long. And there we are, ladies and gentlemen. I went over these 3 Barbarian subclasses. We got 1 good one and 2 ones. So, too bad. Don't worry, we got 2 pretty good ones left for the last video. Well, 1 good one and 1 you'll live, which is a bit of a weird one, being the Zealot and the Wild Magic one. So, have you played these subclasses? Yes, then let me know in the comments down below. I'm going to peace out because my speech capacities are degenerating rapidly today and I have no idea why that is happening. If all goes well, my dear people, I see you all in 2 weeks in the Attic Dungeon.